Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and today we're going to talk about a recent framework that was issued by the AICPA related to fraud. This came out of the AICPA's Forensic and Litigation Service Fraud Task Force. And what I love about this is that it's really a beautiful visual. Unfortunately, today we won't be able to share those visuals with you as they are copywritten, and so the copyright on them applies, and it is behind the firewall. So for those of you who are AICPA members, we have provided in the information regarding today's blog the link for you to access the pretty glossy version of it. But I just want to talk about what it is and what you can get out of it. So again, they introduced 3 different frameworks to really help visualize what we see in the area of fraud risks. And the goal behind this is to really make it easier to be a representation of the most common fraud schemes. So if you're doing brainstorming sessions, or if you're doing, if you're trying to evaluate fraud risk internally or externally, this is a good opportunity, and even teaching fraud in school. And so they identified 3 sectors: business, consumer, and government frauds. And they provide a really nice overview of what we need to be thinking about and the types of fraud that we might want to consider. So when you look at business fraud, for example, it's going to talk about the board and the types of fraud that you might see at the board, like maybe conflict of interest or illegal political contributions or insider trading. It'll also talk about employees and customer type fraud, as well as management and supplier, and give exact scenarios and examples of what you need to be on the lookout for when a business is trying to evaluate their fraud risk. On the consumer side of the house, they look at various industries and the most common types of fraud perpetrated in the various industries. So we have real estate, retail, insurance, construction, and healthcare. And obviously each one have really unique ones. So for example, for retail, you might be thinking about credit card or bank card skimming, or mispriced goods and services, or price gouging, or unsafe products, right? The various types of considerations that we would want to think about. But they also look at it from a potential events perspective, right? So when we think about consumer fraud, identity theft, obviously a big issue right now. The IRS has been talking a lot about identity theft, financial theft, elder fraud, charity fraud, and disaster fraud. And thinking, let's dive into the elder fraud, right? Counterfeit prescription drugs, fraudulent anti-aging products, funeral and cemetery scams, grandparent scams, internet fraud, right? We tend to see our elders really targeted for fraud. And so they bring up the various types of considerations that consumers would want to also be focused on. And then a whole host of potential frauds related to governments. And so here are just some of the ones that they have identified. Again, they have a beautiful glossy that includes all of them. I wanted to call attention to some of the key ones, but bid rigging, price fixing, asset misappropriation, right? Some of them are ones that you would expect. But then again, we think about improper payments, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, espionage, as other considerations here. So the task force did a really great job of trying to aggregate where we have our potential risks and how can we think about them when we're trying to document our risk assessment, when we're trying to be responsive as auditors to risk assessment, and really educating the public about potential risks on the consumer side. So hopefully this is a great way for introducing this concept of risk assessment and really providing these types of examples out to the public. So again, if you're an AICPA member, I encourage you to download them. They're beautiful, really well done, and give lots of ideas for consideration. All right, so that's it today. Again, short and sweet, but hopefully helpful and relevant as we look forward to wrapping up maybe a single audit season or entering our financial statement seasons for the end of the year, giving us an opportunity to really resonate on these and to think about and really, try to use this to our advantage and use it as a memory jogger when we're doing our risk assessment. So thank you guys so much for joining me today on the Genuine Learning Blog, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.